All right, guys, so my pulp is going to be a mixture of mulberry, abaca, and acid-free toned tan sketch paper, which has in it 30% recycled paper, but the rest is cotton, so it's not too bad. And the abaca is good, has good fibers, and that should give a balance between these two. The mulberry is pretty good, and this is pretty good. It's acid free. So I have now the pulp, and the way I measured it is I erred on the plus side of any weighing. So technically, if I went to uh, 0.51 on this one and zero point 0.2 on this one and 0.1 on this one, it's okay. Why? They add up to 0.8 at the end, but a little bit more than 0.8, slightly more than 0.8, because when you blend things in the blender, some of the pulp will always be stuck to the blender and it's difficult to get that down, right? So you want to err always on the plus side of weighing, not on the minus side. You don't want to weigh exactly, so to speak, these pulps, right? All right, so we have the pulp mix here, and I'm gonna go ahead and process it and add sizing, because once you rinse these in water, they're gonna lose sizing. So I'm gonna add sizing, and then last thing I'm gonna do is add formation aid after the processing. All right, guys, stay tuned. I have the fibers in my blender. I'm gonna go ahead and process that next. So turn your volumes down very quickly. As for sizing, you add ketene dimer emulsion, and this is the instructions is you add 2 tablespoons per pound of pulp. Well, I have grams of pulps here, right? Like under a gram of pulp. So how much of this do you need to add? Very tiny amount. I would say like a drop. A drop should be sufficient for the entire thing. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and add a drop, and we'll go from there. So just a drop, and then mix it. And that's the sizing is done. Right. Now you can see the pulp doesn't need really much formation aid, but you can still see the clumps here. So that those clumps will probably abaca clumps will go away, disappear once you add formation aid to it. So I have formation aid here. I made it already, and I'm gonna add 5 mils of formation aid to this. Let's see, 5 mils is right there. I'm gonna add 5. You see the viscosity? Add 5 mils to this. 5 mils seems like a good amount to add, but then assess it and see how the fibers look. Right? So you have to let it sit for like a few minutes and assess it, and then let it sit at least half an hour before you start with the leaf casting. I think it's pretty good. It's giving me a good emulsion here. And prepare the everything fresh. I make everything fresh ahead, you know, so prepare the formation aid like I did in the prior videos. This emulsion is perfect, right? Now I'm going to do a patch just to see if the color matches with the color of the Archie book. If it's too light, it's okay, I suppose, for this experiment. But usually like make patches and see how you can adjust the color. All right, so I brought the volume up to 200 mils, and I'm doing a test patch here to see if the color, when it dries, matches with this color, right? It dries at a different color, so that's the difficult thing when you make it, the pulp, is just try to match the colors if you can, best you can. All right, so let's check the patch against the color of the book. You know, it's not perfect, but it's good enough. And I'm gonna go with that, with this. A little bit on the light side, but I think it'll fit in well here. So we'll do that. Okay. So I have a piece of plexiglass here, and on top I have my remain. I wet my remain first with the calcium hydroxide solution, which is 1 part calcium hydroxide saturated to 4 parts water. So I find that the water in there helps me initially lay it down and kind of flatten it, right? Spray this side. There's definitely an acid smell, and you could smell it. So I'm gonna let this sit like this for about maybe 5 minutes, and then come back and flatten it really nicely, and then do the leaf casting. All right, so I have a sponge on hand here, that any acid is going to go straight into the sponge. So as I flatten it, you can see there is definite color. That's the acid getting out, right? Here's one. There's 2. 3. 4. And 5. The 5th one, I'm trying to overlap a little bit with the wrap so that there's hydrogen bonding and all that, right? And now I can just move some of the pulp around while it's still wet. So some areas look thin are not as thin, right? All right, so what to do next? Next thing I'm going to do is cover it. Take some paper towels. I have some on hand. And very gently try to absorb some of that liquid into the paper towels. So I'm not really dabbing it yet. I'm just letting the water gradually absorb into the paper towels. I'm not gonna roll this. Don't roll your leaf casting when it is precise and going into one area, because everything gets pushed out. So I'm gonna leave it the way it is. I'm gonna cover it now with paper towels and put it in my press. See you guys in a bit. Happy Halloween, everybody.